You are now watching Surveillance. Donate or subscribe for more sick twists.
So, welcome back. Phase 1 gear tier list. I'm here with my man Terryn. We are covering all the best gear for Phase 1, Ret Paladin, Nax, Eye of Eternity, Didion Sanctum. We're going to cover everything that's good, and if it's not on here, it's probably not so good. Now, there's not a lot to cover here, so we're going to try to keep it short, and not as long as the last video, which is like an hour. We're going to try to keep this about 20 minutes or so. But yeah, there's a lot less to cover here, so let's just get started. Helm slot, Obsidian Great Helm is pretty much the only thing you want. It's 226 item level, so it's just a higher item level than everything else. It's from Sartharian 25. Below that, we have the Titan Steel Helm, the Tier 7 Helm, and the Tier 7 Helm with the 4-piece bonus, which gives about 30 DPS. All good options. So that's pretty much it. You're going to want to enchant with the Arcanum of Torment. That's from Ebon Blade. Pretty straightforward. It's just item level is king here. And Obsidian Great Helm has great stats, expertise, and strength. So, Terryn, go ahead with next slot.
So for next, you have about 3 options outside of your pendant from your pre-bits. 2 of which are quest items from Saffron. So there's a quest item in 10 and 25. You grab that quest, you go kill Malagos with that quest, and then you turn it in and you get a neck. Those necks are armor pen necks, but they have sockets, so you counter something that's really bad for us with really good. So they're pretty good. However, Gem of Imprisoned Vassals is just as good as the 10-man version of that, dropped from KT 10-man, and it is not armor, or it's not armor pen, which means it's not nearly as good for like your rogues and stuff. So, highly recommend that over at least the pendant. Favor, you're gonna be pretty much last in line for that, in front of only the tanks and healers.
All right. As we will see a lot going further through the gear list, sockets are king. They're just king. So, shoulder slot, we have Tier 7. You're always going to be getting your 2-piece set bonus at least from shoulders and chest. So you have the only good option is the 213 item level tier, the Valorous. Heroic is tier below, still not too bad, but you're definitely going to want to get the upgraded version. Then we have some shoulders from Resuvius in the B tier, and we have our pre-bis shoulders in the C tier. So not a lot of options here. You really just need to get your tier, and that's pretty much it. So let's go to Cloak.
So Cloak, you are either a Deadly Foe enjoyer, or you are a Badge Cloak enjoyer, or a sad person. Deadly Foe, every single melee wants the Deadly Foe because it's the only 226 cloak in the game right now. Hammerhead, the emblem cloak, is basically the same cloak, but 13 item level lower. I just recommend just grabbing the emblem cloak because you're going to be bottom of the list for the drape.
Yeah. And then our previous cloaks are not holding up well in Phase 1. They're just kind of really outcompeted by everything else. You should at least have Hammerhead because it's very easy to get. Are Emblems of Valor confirmed dropping from 10-man?
I have that cloak already and the ring. You get about 44 emblems total from a 10 and 25 week.
Wow. Okay. So yeah. So
total.
no excuse really not to have it, right? So.
Yep.
All right. I guess most Reds will end up with the Hammerhead. So for chest, once again, just like shoulders, it's tier and only tier. There is a Malagos 25 chest, but it's just going to be slightly worse, especially when you consider the set bonuses. In general, just not worth running over the tier for any reason, even the lower level tier. So that's pretty much it. 10 to all stats is the enchant. And then Cloak enchant, real quick, by the way, is if you're NG, Flex Weave Underlay. If you're Tailor, it's Sword Guard, which is like a proc, an AP proc. And then if you don't have either of those, it will be Greater Agility, 22 Agi. And then, all right, wrist slot. A couple more items here to talk about. So.
Yeah, wrist slot, Braces of Unrelenting Attack are your Bith. Those are going to be also the Bith for your Death Knights. So it's going to be a little bit of competition for that. but they're definitely up and up. Thrusting bands are much less competition and are almost as good. So those are good options. And then Sinner's Band, if you don't have a hit requirement, you can go ahead and grab that instead of thrusting. All of our pre-bis stuff is pretty low though,
Yeah.
comparatively, and you just want to put 50 AP on anything.
Yeah.
Don't be if
Pretty
you're
straightforward.
a drums enjoyer, you can go ahead and put the big enchant on that. If you're a speed drums enjoyer, but you know.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's interesting. I didn't even think about that. Okay, so glove slot. Obviously, enchant here is going to be accelerators if you're engineer. I mean, pyro rocket is good too, but it's not as good. And then we have, if you're not an engineer, you can have crusher, which is AP, or precision, which is 20 hit, which is good if you need to hit. It's really good if you need to hit. So, we are going to get the Malygos 25 gloves. They are amazing if you run 4-piece or if you run 2-piece. Doesn't matter which set you run, you're going to use these gloves either way. It's always going to be your 5th off piece, or your 5th piece, your off piece. We have the cruelly discolored battle grips from Patchwork 25. Those are pretty solid, as well as the tier gloves. And this is with the set bonus kind of factored in here for gloves. And then we have B tier. I forgot to change color there, but that is B tier. I'll change that after the video.
Yep.
But the lower level ones, I mean, if you have those already, you're only looking at upgrading your tier to the higher level, or getting the Patchwork gloves or the Malygos ones. Now, I think the Malygos ones are decently contested. A lot of people want them.
They're very contested.
Yeah.
So the discolored battle grips are a plate downgrade, but they fill the same role. They fill the same hit requirements and everything. So they're a very good option. So belt, you have Girdle of Chivalry and Belt of the Tortured. Both are pretty much neck and neck with each other. The Chivalry will be in competition. You'll be in competition for that with your Death Knights. Whereas Tortured is fewer people want that. So that's a very good option. Girdle of Vesuvius is a lot of expertise. It's a good option. It's just not as good because expertise just isn't as good for us. And then your previous is actually pretty strong still. So there's nothing else that really competes after that point.
Yeah. One of the rare cases where the Priebus is still pretty solid. Not a whole lot of belts to pick from. You're going to use the belt buckle, obviously, for the extra gem slot and frag belt. You can also use the thermonuclear, or the pulse generator to, like, explode your decoys instantly. But it shares a cooldown with Serenite Bomb, so it's just not going to be better. Unless you have, like, one person in your raid blowing them all up at the same time. So if that was a consideration for you, then there you have it. So leg slot, we have Leggings of the Honored from Sarth 25. A lot of good gear off this boss. And Ice Scale Armor is the enchant. These are 226 as well. These are really, really good. Below that, we have the Riveted Abomination leggings, which are from Gluth and Thaddeus 25. Our tier comes from the same two bosses. Those are good, but a little bit worse than the Abomination leggings, assuming you can use the hit. Now, if you have the set bonus from the legs, then these are going to be neck and neck, basically equal. If you don't have the set bonus, the Abomination ones will be a little bit better. We have Belabored leg plates from Sarth 10. Those are decent. And then we have our lower level tier at B tier, and Priebus at C tier. Priebus not holding up well at this point. You should really replace your Priebus with any of these other leggings. So, and also the legs you can also get from Vault of Archivon. So,
the Leggings of the Honored are less in competition from what I've seen than most of our other pieces. So
yeah, it should be a little bit
definitely try
easier
and
to
get
get.
those. Up next is boots. Melancholy Sabatons. These are armor pen, which is odd, but they're also 2.6 item levels, so they beat out almost everything. Well, they beat out everything. Sabatons of the Reprisal. Those are crit haste with a socket. Socket is pretty good. So these are a solid side piece if you've got a lot of Death Knights in your raid. And then after that, it kind of gets kind of garbage. The steel boots are a little bit better than your previous, but not by a lot. So those are the emblems boots. So not really much else to look at, to be honest.
Yeah, and then of course Nitro Boost. Now these can backfire, but I'm pretty sure they don't in raid. I haven't had them backfire for me yet in dungeon,
I've never seen them backfire. I'm gonna be honest.
they backfire all the time in the open world. Actually, it happened to me a bunch of times, but I've never had it happen in dungeon, so I don't think it can. If you don't have NG, then you're gonna get greater assault. So, anyways, ring slot ruthlessness just the best. This is from the shared boss table. Drops off like 4 or 5 different bosses. It's really good. It's just a tier above everything else. And then you have Ring of Invincibility from Emblems, that's A tier, and Surge Needle Ring, that's Malygos 10, and it's a BOE, so you can sell it, you can buy it. That is a hit item, and that's going to be A tier. Those are about the same, equal to each other on the A tier there. Just below that, we have Circle of Death, which is close, it's B+. Saffron 10, Ring of the Kirin Tor at B tier, still decent. And then all the other previous rings behind at C+. Really just need to get the emblem ring, Ring of Invincibility, and then your other ring can be Circle of Death, Surge Needle Ring, or Ruthlessness from there. So everybody's going to have Invincibility, and then you just pick another ring, depending on how lucky you get and how you want to spend your prize, things like that. Yep. So if you can use the hit, Surge Needle Ring is great, equal to Biss. It's going to be worth a lot of money, though, so some guilds might want to sell it. I don't know how a lot of guilds are going to end up doing that, but that is a possibility, so you might want to talk to your guild masters and see what they're planning on doing for that. So trinkets.
Oh, real quick, one thing that we don't have on this list, it'll be on it later, Dawnwalkers. Dawnwalkers are leather boots. They drop from Anubercon 25. These are like an A- tier. They are a great, they're about 20-30 DPS above steel boots, the Valor ones. And those are, I don't know exactly the competition level for those, but they're pretty good. So
A- you said for these?
Yeah, about A-.
All right.
They're a good hit option if you need hit for your, and you have them as like an option. So
Sweet. All right. Trinket slot.
Talking about trinkets. So Darkmoon card is your Biss. You got a few more days to grab that before the circus leaves, and then you got to wait for the next one.
Yeah, you couldn't buy the like somebody can turn in the card ahead of time, like they can turn in the deck and then sell the card, which is BOE, but it's gonna be more expensive when the fair's not around, obviously. So.
Yep. After that, it's Fury of the 5 Flights. This is about 50-60 DPS above anything else. And then from there, Lotheb's Shadow is a little bit better than Bandits' than Mirror Truth. Same with Bandits Insignia, about 20-30 DPS. They're both pretty much neck and neck, but they are better than your Prebiss. And then after that, it's all your Prebiss. Grim Toll and Mark of Norganon are pretty not good. I would still recommend grabbing a Mark of Norganon just so that you have an eye level set for Old War, but it's not great. And Grim Toll, like if you can use the hit, it's good, but you shouldn't be taking that from any physical DPSers, because the armor pen is just useless for you, honestly.
Yeah, and so if you aren't planning on getting a Darkmoon card Greatness, which by the way they are getting very cheap, down to 15k or so on a lot of servers, if you're not planning on getting one, you're going to be looking closely at the Lotheb Shadow or the Bandits Insignia for to replace it essentially. And also everybody else should also be trying to get one of those B tier trinkets, because on some fights where Fury of the 5 Flights, it's a stacking trinket, it takes time to stack up, just like Darkmoon card Crusade was. If you have any downtime where the stacks can drop, then Bandits Insignia or Lotheb Shadow is just going to be better off. But Fury of the 5 Flights has enough of a lead that really only have to worry with. Yeah, you can get away with using it no matter what. But it's something to keep in mind if you're min-maxing, to maybe swap trinkets on a fight with a lot of downtime. So for weapons, now I need to preface this with there's a lot of weapons here. We ran all the sims just now. There's a big discrepancy between cleave and single target. So to say which weapon is Biss, well, it depends. Are you talking about cleave? Are you talking about single target? Are you talking about dwarf? Are you talking about human? A lot of factors going into it. So we tried to lay that all out here. If you see human or dwarf next to a weapon, that's what they're simmed with. If you don't see that, it's just neutral race or every race. So unless it's specified, it's going to be neutral or every race. So single target weapon slot, enchant berserking. We have Betrayer of Humanity, which you guys already mostly know is our biz single target weapon. It's higher item level. It's 226. It's from Kel'Thuzad 25. I think it's pretty contested as far as two-handers users go.
Not really.
Isn't
Not
it?
really. There's there's not a lot of two-hander users right now. Is the main.
Yeah, but all the other
Unholy
two-handers
is
want it, right? Like,
no, because Unholy is mostly dual wield. Cross is dual wield. Like, how many warriors are in your raid right now?
I think my tank said he wants it, but
Okay, so your tank wants it over your Ret Paladin.
well, I didn't say that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and I'm just saying that
I
there's
thought
not
that
there's not a lot of competition for it now. Like, how many DPS warriors do you have in your raid?
Well, I personally don't have any, so.
There you go.
But
so competition is pretty low. It's basically you and the warriors who are feeling it worse than even you are.
yeah, so I mean that's just like the tier ahead of everything else for single target. But you guys will be interested to see the stats for Cleave, which you can already kind of see at the bottom there. So, and then moving below Betrayer, which may or may not be easy to get. we'll have the Jawbone, which is a great weapon, by the way. It's a mace. It's 3.6, so it's a little bit slower than most of the other weapons. Right? Or is it 3.8? I think it's 3.6 when I looked. Anyways, it's slower. And Divine Storm is not normalized, so you're going to see that come into play with the Cleave rankings. Most of the weapons we have occupying a similar space in DPS. Jawbone, Black Ice, Death Spite, Crypt Fiend's Bite. These are all in the highest little echelon of weapons. Jawbone and Black Ice being like tied for the top of that tier there, and then Death Spite and Crypt Fiend's Bite being a little bit worse. And then as you go down the list here, we're kind of just descending the DPS as we go down, where the difference between the top and the bottom is like 500 or 600 DPS. So as we move down, we have Inevitable Defeat, Deadly Gladiator's weapons, if you're a human or a dwarf, are pretty decent. Armageddon, neutral race gladiator weapons, Titan Steel, Ray Spear, Demise, all this stuff. At a little bit of a lower tier, we have the Claymore of Ancient Power, and our Prebis weapons, and Hateful Gladiators as well.
As a note here, we have Titan Steel actually kind of up in the A tier. The reason being is these are also ran assuming you're taking full advantage of all the hit on these weapons. If you don't,
Yes.
if you're not able to take advantage of the relative power of that weapon will drop. So keep that in mind. These are all very not static values.
Yeah, and of course, you know, that goes for every slot as well. So for any of the other slots, can't use the hit, then obviously you're going to be taking a big hit in terms of relative value. So a lot of weapons listed here. That's basically all there is to say for single target. It's pretty straightforward. Let's move on down to Cleave, where it gets a little bit more complicated. As we can see, Jawbone on top by a lot. By not a little bit either, by a lot. So
yep. And then you got Inevitable Defeat and Betrayer are kind of neck and neck there. These are things we kind of assume. Betrayer is just a high item level, but Jawbone and Inevitable Defeat are both very slow, which leads them into Cleave because Seal of Command is not normalized, so all of your Potato Strike, Seal of Command hits will hit harder, and then Divine Storm, since it's completely not normalized, that will hit much harder.
yeah. So the weapon speed does make a bigger difference than we initially thought it would coming into the Wrath, at least for Cleave, as far as that goes. So
that's the only time it makes a big difference. Everything
Yeah.
else is pretty in line with just higher DPS is better. Everything else kind of is self-explanatory. Higher speed weapons will be higher in the tier listing, but also keep in mind that DPS of the weapon will matter. And then again, dwarfs and humans will actually get even more out of this because of if your attacks dodge, you're not going to get the extra cleave stuff from that. So the extra expertise
yeah.
does matter quite a bit for cleave up until 4 targets.
A lot of the next 10 items occupying the space between, you know, A- and B tier for the most part. with like Wraith Sphere kind of being and Black Ice being kind of the best ones from next gen or from 10-man raids in general. So and then also to note down here, we have Sword of Justice in the C+ tier. If you guys noticed, we updated the pre-raid prio with Sword of Justice with a cleave ranking. Sword of Justice was number 1 in Prebis for cleaving, tied with Titan Steel Destroyer for a lot of people. So that is a sleeper weapon if you're still using like Colossal Skullclad Cleaver. I mean, it's pretty good maybe for like a trash swap or something. But anyways, another instance where speed does matter and takes more of a frontal role or primary role in the DPS. So that's pretty much it. As you can see, cleave is a little bit different. I'm personally going to go for Jawbone because I think that Ret, their strength is more in the cleave section, not in single target. So I'm going to try to go Jawbone myself just because it's still pretty good on single target. As you guys can see, it's still just below Betrayer. So not too far behind.
No, but nobody's gonna want that weapon either. Like this thing, your tanks want inevitable. Your DK tank wants inevitable defeat and not Jawbone. So like it, yeah, you're good.
Yeah. So, and then, very exciting. We have Libram slot. We have new shit going on here. So Terryn, why don't you talk about the new Librams?
So Librams, we initially were only gonna get the deadly gladiators. Enough people bitched about it on Twitter and on the forums, and now we're getting 2 more Librams that are useful. So Savage Gladiator requires a little bit of arena points, and it's like 180 or 175, and then some honor, and you can grab that. No arena requirement or arena ranking requirement. Simple requires I think 1200, and then you can grab that. And then the deadly one requires is it 1900
It's
again?
actually 1800. So the blue post,
Okay, I thought
the blue
that's what I
post
assumed.
said 1900, but it's in game right now as 1800. So I actually need to
thank
change that to 18.
Okay, cool. So basically the ranking of this is not just assigned to the attack power, but also that 6-second window is close enough that on occasion it will definitely drop when you're doing your normal rotation for red. So that is another thing to keep in mind. It's a reason why everyone should be striving to be a better gamer and get to their 1900 rating so that they can get their big fat Libra.
Yes.
After that, nothing matters. So at minimum, you need to do a little bit of PvP to get your Savage Gladiator, but you should try and do more. Try and
Yeah,
be
and
better.
you get 25 points from the daily BG, 25 arena points from the daily random BG, and 25 points for on a BG weekend first win of the day in that BG of the BG weekend. So you can get 50 to 75 arena points a day. You don't ever have to step foot in an arena. You can have your Hateful Gladiators Libram in like 7 days.
You
or
definitely
5.
have to step. You do have to step in for a hateful because it requires an arena rating.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Savage, you don't need it. Savage, you can get it in like 3 days.
But 1200 is free, right? It's like literally free. So
Like
like literally anybody can get 1200. Like I promise you, anybody can get it. Just literally go in
you have a
there,
lot of faith.
play well. You can do it. I promise you. Okay, but no,
Hit
you're
your
right.
buttons
The
on a
Savage
thing.
one doesn't have a requirement, so and it's like 175 points. So if you don't ever want to do arena, you can get that one in literally 3 days or 4 days, depending on if it's a weekend or not, without ever stepping foot in arena. So and then, but I would recommend anybody get the Hateful one. The Savage one, you can get it if you really just hate arena, but in my opinion, the Hateful one is pretty free, and it's like 10% better. So I would get it.
Yep. So that's that. So let's talk about Nax because I know you said you haven't done Nax yet. I did Nax last night. It was a lot of fun. We
Yeah.
we yoinked to the server first Darth from another guild,
Ooh,
which was pretty nice.
congrats.
Well, we both guilds got it, but we got it first, so that's the real flex there.
Yeah, so let's hit it. Oh, just real quick before we leave, 2 item swaps, 2 hit swaps.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's talk about
Well,
that
just
first.
2 things real quick. One is that with the Gladiator Librams, sometimes you might want to CS right after your judge on the opener just to get your attack powered up quicker. Not a big deal. Just follow your normal prio after that. But like judge on your way in, hit CS, get your attack power buff up, and then go to your normal rotation from there. But that's pretty self-explanatory. Anyway, so hit swaps. We had a huge list of hit swaps for pre-raid. We only have these 2 hit swaps for phase 1. Now there's more hit swaps if you have worse gear, but if you have like the best gear, or if you have Search Needle Ring, you could hit swap with the Ring of Invincibility. If you have Chivalry, you could hit swap with the Belt of the Tortured. These are equal hit swaps, but the other items are just not really, there's no good hit swaps elsewhere among the best items. So that's pretty much that. And then we also have this section on how to spend your emblems, and this is the last thing we have before we get into the Nax primer. So, Terryn, you wrote this up. I will let you explain how to spend your emblems.
So basically, it depends on if you're getting Drape of Deadly Foe or not. Most of us will probably not see Drape of Deadly Foe. So if you are, for some reason, congrats, you can get your shoulders and then just jump straight into your ring and your pants or boots if you need them. Otherwise, just hold on to your stuff for whenever gems become a thing. If you don't, if you are not going to get Deadly Foe, you want to go ahead and get your badge back after you get your shoulders. The shoulders are just like such a huge damage increase because they're a hit slot and just very good. Like you're just going to use them for the rest of the tier. So that's basically it. And then afterwards, you want to get the ring, and then any other slots that are just upgrades. And that's just like if those pants or boots are an upgrade for you still because you just haven't seen a drop. It's worth it to grab it.
All right, so pretty straightforward here. Obviously this could change if you guys like get certain items from raid. This is just kind of the general advice, but you're gonna have to tailor it to your specific situation, depending on what gear you have. So without further ado, we have one last part here, and that's the Nax Rammus primer. I'm gonna let Terryn do most of the work here because he has done this version of Nax. I've only done the vanilla version. So yeah, take it away.
So obviously your consumes just you kind of use your brain here. The dragonfin fillet is definitely better than the fish feast. So do that. Don't be lazy. Potion of speed is better than any of your other pots that you can use. And then use your NG stuff. So that's pretty much it. So fight by fight, patchwork, very quick and easy, take and spank. Your tank's threat is going to be astronomical, so you shouldn't worry about dipping into the slime. Hit salve on any warlocks that are getting high or DKs that might be getting high. Otherwise, kill. Robulus, stay out of the front. As your tank is moving them, kind of readjust where you're going to drop your consecrate. Don't drop your consecrate if he's going to have to move soon. Things like that. Hit Divine Storm on mobs. Don't just use Seal of Vengeance. Don't try to steal a command here. Gluth. There is an AoE fear that you can cancel bubble out of. Doesn't happen that often. And then otherwise just kill the boss. You can stun the zombies if he uses his stomp and you need to actually kill the zombies. You can help stun those and deal damage to those. Just do a quick seal command swap. Just get back and so you can hit vengeance. Thaddeus, parsing here is definitely going to rely on understanding not just, when you need to understand when your raid is going to pop their lust and everything, as well as just making sure that your raid understands which direction they're moving. For every person that dies, that's a 10% damage loss across everybody, and that's pretty big. On the pole of Thaddeus, you can go ahead and pop your NG, your speed wrists or your speed gloves, but don't pop your wings. Save those.
Oh, and do we go on Fugan side or the side that doesn't mana burn or whatever? Which side do we go on?
You can
For
go on the
phase
right.
one?
I think you can honestly just go on either. It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
I didn't notice any difference. I was on the right.
I heard that one of the sides mana burns. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I can double check, but like I didn't notice it. Anubercon, this is a fight where it's acceptable to cleave because the ads do deal a lot of damage to the tanks. So that's something to just kind of keep in mind. You do want to kill the ads eventually. It's better to cleave off of an Ubercon though, because the damage on him does matter. Faralina, you don't really want to cleave the ads here. You want to use at least one of them to dispel the enrage or at least delay the enrage. But the other thing also is when those ads die, they silence, which pretty much removes your ability to hit your button. Really annoying.
Possible use for Aura Mastery here.
Yeah, that's a good one. So, Maxena, I mean, obviously don't pull aggro. I think you should be okay with that. Make sure you've got to consecrate down before the spiders come out and pop a sapper for them. They die very fast. Like 4 seeds will kill them. And there's no way to break the web. You can't bubble out of it. You can't freedom out of it. And ninth thing is that you can use taunt on the webs. In 10 man, it almost completely kills the webs. In
Oh, wow.
25 man, it's like, I mean, it's like 5k damage when it crits. So, on 25 man, that's like 40% of their health. So, definitely make sure you're taunting the webs for bonus dam. Noth, just single target him because you really want to kill him before he phases up. That's a bigger damage increase than trying to cleave the ads. So don't stuff your raid. Help cleanse. There is a not just a curse, but there also was a like a slowing effect, slows attack speed, so help dispel that as well. Hagen, there's a safety dance, but there's also a disease that goes up on everyone that's around him. Definitely help cleanse that. That's very helpful. Having your warlocks having to resummon their pets is more of a raid damage loss than you spending a couple of GCDs to help dispel even the pets. So do that. Lotheb, you want to get as soon as you get the crit buff, you need to be having an understanding for when the lust is happening with that crit buff, and you want to pop your cooldowns appropriately. That's about it. Later on in the fight, occasionally instead of hitting exorcism during the window where you can heal. So that fight, instead of heals going on cooldown, it makes it so that you can only heal for like 6 seconds out of a 20-second window, something like that. I don't remember exact number.
I think
But
that's
there's a
right.
window.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a window where you can heal, and then all healing goes to 0 during the outside of that window. So later on in the fight, early on, doesn't matter. Later on, go ahead and use your exorcism or use your Art of War procs on heals on like yourself or someone that's low, just to help out your healers. Going on to military. Instructor Resuvius, kill the boss, single target, don't cleave the ads. That will be a bad time. Gothic, this fight is literally disabled for rankings, so it doesn't really matter all that much. There's a couple of strats where you just stay on the dead side or on the live side, and then when the dead side hits like 2 minutes and 30 seconds, all the ads just bolt through the gate and the gate opens. When if you're doing that strat, you want to help by bubbling and hitting your Holy Wrath, just on everything. Other than that, just kill things, taunt things for extra damage. If you want to just kind of scumbag the details meter. 4 horsemen. This is a fight. If you're doing the cleave strat, definitely want to run Seal of Command during the cleave stage. Otherwise, save your rocket boots so you can boots over to the other side and slam that. Sapphiron. I'm just trying to remember. Oh, there's also the fact that on Zelik, the Holy One, he will do a bouncing Holy Wrath thingy, or like a chain lightning.
Yes. I remember that from vanilla.
Does bonus damage with every bounce. Don't kill your raid. Don't kill your raid with that. So just keep that in mind where you're going in and out. I don't think you can actually bubble off the marks, if I remember right. Something else to know. Sapphiron. So most guilds are not going to run Frost Resist, which is fine. He doesn't deal a lot of damage. What you can do is make sure you always have Sacred Shield up. That's a huge amount of damage absorb going on. When he goes into the air, there's a period of time where you can damage through the air phase almost the entire time. You just got to make sure you're either bubbled for when the Frost Bolt is hitting the ground, or for when you just need to be out of line of sight for that. So there's a couple spots you can stand where you can keep hitting him from melee or hitting him with melee attacks and everything. So do that. Kel'Thuzad, Don't cleave at all. When the mind control is going out, try to avoid the divine storming. If your consecrate's out, not much you can do. Um, if when the ice tombs go out, you cannot bubble out of them, but you can use other abilities. Well, you can't freedom out of it. I think you can bubble out of it. But you can also use just generally other abilities. You can cast things, so you can use Pally Shield Wall when you're hit by that. It's kind of interesting. During phase 1, you can taunt the skeletons and ghosts as well. Your taunt, once you get a little bit of gear, your taunt will actually one-shot the skeletons, which is hilarious. So, last 2 bosses. So that's all of Nex. Last 2 bosses, Malagos is 2 phases. During the first phase, you need to understand what your raid is doing. If you're doing the normal strat, you want to save your wings for after the first vortex when the orb lands, when the orb gets dropped on the ground. So what'll happen is these little orbs will float out from the skybox. When they get close, you can put them in a certain location with your DKs, grip with whatever. You kill those, and they drop a damage amp puddle. You stack those. So if you have 3 puddles down, you're going to have 50, 50, and 3 instances of the 50% damage bonus. Very, very strong. If you're doing a speed player, you're going to do something along the lines of stacking up 3 to 5 of these pools. If that's the case, you have time to pop wings right off the pull, and it could be up for the super stack. So, in phase 2, you need to kill the scions, the ones on the ground. So there's going to be 8 in 25 man. There will be 8 scions on the air and 4 on the ground that have to get tinked. Kill the ones on the ground. All of them will drop little discs so that you can jump on the disc and kill things around. So pop still cleave when you are killing the ground ones, and then go. Honestly, I would go righteousness or command for the ones up in the air because you're not on them for long enough time. And then when you hit phase 3, you're on a dragon and you hit 1, 1, 2. And that's it. Sorry. If you're doing 0 or 1 Drake, either the 0 Drake or 1 Drake Zerg strat, you just kill them full send single target. Lust. You'll be getting lust off the rip and everything. Just full send damage. If you're doing 2 or 3 Drake, you need to be trying to save your cooldowns for the Drakes when they come out. Typically, your first Drake for either of these will be the Drake that spawns the whelps. So you'll want to save your NG for those whelps as well. A very good tip, as of right now of recording this, you can swap your trinkets position, and it triggers an ICD on your trinkets or on your proc trinkets to prevent them from procking. So if you have Dark Moon card Greatness, right on the pull, you swap your trinket spots, and you will not proc your trinket until the first Drake lands. And that'll help you get even more damage on that Drake, which is always very, 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 very good. Other than that, you just want to full send as much damage as you can into those Drakes. Like that's the hardest part of that fight, is getting those down quick.
All right.
And that's raids.
And that's raids, folks. I appreciate y'all watching. We're gonna wrap it up here. That's all we really have for you guys. If you have any questions, they'll be you can put them down in the comments. Once again, this will possibly get updated, just like the last gear tier list. If there's any new data or any new updates that need to get added in, they will get added in. You can take a look at the document. The link will be down in the description anytime for the most up-to-date data. Hope you guys were helped by this information. And I will publish the VOD, yes. As soon as I hit stop streaming here, I will publish the VOD, and then I will start my next stream for Nax. So, and then this will go up on YouTube in a couple hours. So thanks you guys for joining us. You can find the document in the description. We appreciate having you guys here. And thanks again, Terryn, for joining us and giving us your wealth of knowledge.
All right, glad to be here.
And we'll see you guys in Light Club Discord. That'll also be in the description if you guys aren't already. Make sure you come to the Light Club Discord and ask us any questions you have there. Just be sure to read the FAQ first. So, all right. Have a good night, guys. We love you. I know that a lot of Reds out there are struggling right now, but don't worry. We're going to get through it, and we're going to be better people for it. So, love you guys. Have a good night. Peace.